Good morning. How is everybody? Happy Friday. This morning was with Mystic and the Tao of Pooh. Just jumping on, I wanted to make sure to get this in this morning. It's 6:30 a.m. in San Clemente, California, and it rained last night, so the air is so clear and so crisp here, and it's going to be a beautiful day. And my wish is for all of you to have a beautiful day today. Good morning, Jessica. How are you? We're going to jump on. I'm going to read the next chapter in the Tao of Pooh. I hope that you guys are really enjoying it and that it's giving you a little bit of peace and hope at the beginning of your day. And then I have to read this and then jump off because I'm running a little bit late, even though it's 6:30 in the morning. I got up too late. And I have to go be at a doctor's appointment by 8. So we're going to get this in and get this done today. Okay. Tao of Pooh. Next chapter. Cobblestone Pie. Remember when Kanga and Roo came to the forest? Immediately, Rabbit decided that he didn't like them because they were different. Then he began thinking of a way to make them leave. Fortunately for everyone, the plan failed, as clever plans do sooner or later. Cleverness, after all, has its limitations. Its mechanical judgments and clever remarks tend to prove inaccurate with passing time, because it doesn't look very deeply into things to begin with. As in Rabbit's case, it has to change its opinions. And that, as in Rabbit's case, it has to change its opinions later on because of what it didn't see when it was truly forming them. The thing that makes someone truly different, unique, in fact, is something that cleverness cannot really understand. We'll refer to that special something here as inner nature, since it's pretty much beyond the power of the intellect to measure or understand. We'll have Pooh explain it to us, which he will do by way of the cobblestone pie principle. Excuse me a moment. Yes, Pooh? Me explain it? Said Pooh behind his paw. Well, yes, I thought that might be nice. Why don't you explain it? Asked Pooh. Well, I thought it would be better if you did, somehow. I don't think that's such a good idea, said Pooh. Why not? Because when I explain things, they get in the wrong places, he said. That's why. All right, I'll explain it. But you can help out every now and then. How does that sound? Much more like it, said Pooh. Let's see. The cobblestone pie principle is based upon the song, Cobblestone Pie, which Pooh sang in Winnie the Pooh. Say, Pooh, maybe you'd better sing it again in case anyone's forgotten. Certainly, said Pooh. Now, let me see. Cobblestone, cobblestone, cobblestone pie. A fly can't bird, but a bird can fly. Ask me a riddle, and I'll reply. Cobblestone, cobblestone, cobblestone pie. Cobblestone, cobblestone, cobblestone pie. A fish can't whistle and neither can I. Ask me a riddle, and I'll reply. Cobblestone, cobblestone, cobblestone pie. Cobblestone, cobblestone, cobblestone pie. Why does a chicken? I don't know why. Ask me a riddle and I'll reply. Cobblestone, cobblestone, cobblestone pie. Now, let's start with ow. Oh yes, that was very nice, Pooh. Don't mention it. Let's start with the first part. A fly can't bird, but a bird can't fly. Very simple. It's obvious, isn't it? And yet you'd be surprised how many people violate this simple principle every day of their lives and try to fix it, square pegs in round holes, ignoring the clear reality that the things are as they are. We will let a selection from the writings of Chuang-Tzu to illustrate. Hu-Tzu said to Chuang-Tzu, "I have a large tree which no carpenter can cut into lumber. Its branches and trunks are crooked and tough, covered with bumps and depressions. No builder would turn his head to look at it. Your teachings are the same, useless, without value. Therefore, no one pays attention to them." "As you know," Chuang-Tzu replied, "a cat is very skilled at capturing its prey." We have to do something because it's starting to do this. Where is it? Don't hit me. It's starting to rain outside and I didn't know it. Hold on. Hold on, guys. If I can get this stupid damn... Oh, it worked. My little happy umbrella. An umbrella, believe it or not, on my deck because my other umbrella broke. So I'm going to read with one hand and hold my umbrella with the other hand because I don't have time to reset up and inside. So we're going to make it work outside. Okay, so I apologize. Hu-Tzu said to Chuang-Tzu, "I have a large tree which no carpenter can cut into lumber. Its branches and trunk are crooked and tough, covered with bumps and depressions. No builder would turn his head to look at it. Your teachings are the same, useless, without value. Therefore, no one pays attention to them." "As you know," Chuang-Tzu replied, "a cat is very skilled at capturing its prey. Crouching low, it can leap into any direction, pursuing whatever it's after. But when its attention is focused on such things, it can be easily caught with a net. On the other hand, a huge yak is not easily caught or overcome. It stands like a stone or a cloud in the sky, but for all its strength, it cannot catch a mouse. You complain that your tree is not valuable as lumber, but you can make use of the shade it provides. Rest under its sheltering branches and stroll beneath it, admiring its character and appearance. I'm stumbling today because of the rain. I apologize. Admiring its character and appearance. And then we're going to get rid of the sun a little bit. Since it would not be endangered by an axe, what could threaten its existence? It is useless. Useless to you only because you want to make it into something else and do not use it in its proper way. In other words, everything has its own place and function. That applies to people too. Although, many don't seem to realize it. Stuck as they are in the wrong job, the wrong marriage, or the wrong house. When you know and expect. Alright, today's the day, guys. I'm running late. The rain started and now I keep losing my place. So I apologize, but I'm imperfectly perfect because I'm human just like you guys. So you have to excuse my boo-boos today, my little mess-ups. When you know and respect your own inner nature, you know where you belong. You also know where you don't belong. One man's food is enough and another man's poison. And what is glamorous and exciting to some can be a dangerous trap to others. An incident in the life of Chuang-Tzu can serve as example. While sitting on the banks of the Pooh River, Chuang-Tzu was approached by two representatives of the Prince of Chu. who offered him a position at court. Wangzi watched the water flowing by as he had not heard. Finally he remarked, "I am told that the prince is a secret tortoise, over 2,000 years old, which is kept in a box wrapped in silk and brocade." "That is true," the officials replied. "If the tortoise had been given a choice," Wangzi continued, "which do you think he would have liked better? To have been alive in the mud or dead within the palace?" "To have been alive in the mud, of course," the man answered. "I, too, prefer the mud," said Wangzi. "Goodbye." "I like mud, too," said Pooh. "Yes, well, anyway, on a hot summer day, nothing like it. But the point is, it keeps you cool," he said. "That's not important here, Pooh," I said. "It's not? It's not?" he asked in a shocked sort of way. "I mean, where are the other things to be?" "How do you know?" said Pooh. "Have you ever tried it?" "No, but the thing for a hot summer day," he continued, leaning back and closing his eyes, "down by the river and covered with mud." "No, but just the thing for a hot summer day," he continued, leaning back and closing his eyes. "Down by the river, covered with mud. Look, Pooh." "Mud's nice," said Piglet, walking over to the writing table and looking up at us. "It adds color to your skin." "Can't say I ever cared for it," said Owl, flying over and perching on the lamp. "It sticks in one's feathers, rather disagreeable." "You see," I said, "everyone's different." That's what we were discussing. "I thought we were talking about mud," said Piglet. "So did I," said Pooh. "Well, I must get back to my encyclopedia," said Owl. "And now, if we can, let's go on to the second part. A fish can't whistle and neither can I." Coming from a wise mind, such a statement would mean I have certain limitations, and I know what they are. Such a mind would act accordingly. There's nothing wrong with not being able to whistle, especially if you're a fish. But there can be lots of things wrong with blindly trying to do what you aren't designed for. Fish don't live in trees, and birds don't spend too much time underwater if they can help it. Unfortunately, some people who always seem to think they're smarter than fish and birds somehow aren't so wise and end up causing big trouble for themselves and others. That doesn't mean that we need to stop changing and improving. It just means that we need to recognize what's there. If you face the fact that you have weak muscles, say, then you can do the right things and actually become strong. But if you ignore that, what's there, and try to lift someone's car out of a ditch, what sort of condition will you be in after a while? And even if you have more muscle than anyone alive, you still can't push over a freight train. The wise know there's limitations. The foolish do not. To demonstrate what we mean, we can think of no better than Tigger, who doesn't know his limitations. "Oh, excuse me. He says he does now." Well, let's recall how he was forced to recognize one of them anyway. Roo and Tigger were walking through the forest one morning, and Tigger was talking about all the things that Tiggers can do. "Can they fly?" asked Roo. Yes, said Tigger. "They're very good flyers, Tiggers are. Extraordinary good flyers." Ooh, said Roo. Can they fly as well as Owl? Yes, said Tigger, only they don't want to. Well, after this sort of talk had gone on for a while, they arrived at the 6 pine trees. I can swim, said Roo. I fell into the river and I swimmed. Can Tigers swim? Of course they can, Tigger said. Tigers can do everything. Can they climb trees better than Pooh? Asked Roo, stopping under the tallest pine tree and looking up at it. Climbing trees is what they do best, said Tigger. Much better than Pooh's. And the next thing they knew, they were stuck in the tallest pine tree. Well, well, not so good. But then Pooh and Piglet came along, and of course Pooh realized right away just what was happening. Well, not right away. It's a jaguar, he said. What do jaguars do? Asked Piglet, hoping they wouldn't. They hide in the branches of trees and drop on you as you go underneath, said Pooh. Christopher Robin told me. Perhaps we hadn't better not go underneath, Pooh, in case he dropped and hurt himself. They don't hurt themselves, said Pooh. They're such very good droppers. Piglet still felt that to be underneath a very good dropper would be a big mistake, and he was just going to hurry back for something when he had forgotten when the jaguar called out to them. Help, help, it called. That's what jaguars always do, said Pooh, much interested. They call help, help, and then when you look up, they drop on you. But eventually, Christopher Robin and Eeyore came along, and a rescue net was formed. Then Roo jumped and was saved, and Tigger jumped, sort of, and was saved, sort of. There was a crash and a tearing noise and a confused heap of everybody on the ground. Christopher Robin and Pooh and Piglet picked themselves up first, and then they picked Tigger up too, and underneath everybody else was guess who? Eeyore. Quite a bit of trouble you put everyone through, wasn't it, Tigger? I learned from the experience, though, he said, a bit evasively. Oh, did you? I think it's going to start raining again because I'm feeling sprinkled. Of course you won't find me doing that again, he said in a confident sort of way. That's good, I said. On your way to somewhere, I'm laughing and screwing up so bad because it's starting to drizzle again. So I need to pick up my umbrella again, and this is really going funny. But it's okay, because this is life. Life isn't perfect. And we just got to learn to what? Roll with the punches and flow. So we're going to continue flowing. Okay. So of course you won't find me doing anything like that again, he said, in a confident sort of way. That's good, I said. On your way to somewhere, are you? Yes, he said. Roo and I are going swimming. Oh, well, don't forget to take a rope. A rope? Why a rope, said Tigger. Oh, just in case you see somebody fall in, I said. Now, why didn't I think of that, said Tigger. A saying from the area of Chinese medicine would be appropriate to mention here. One disease, long life. No disease, short life. In other words, those who know what's wrong with them and take care of themselves accordingly will tend to live a lot longer than those who consider themselves perfectly healthy and neglect their weaknesses. So in that sense, at least, a weakness of some sort can do you a big favor if you acknowledge that it's there. The same goes for one's limitations, whether Tiggers know it or not, and Tiggers usually don't. That's the trouble with Tiggers. You know, they can do everything. very, very unhealthy. Once you face and understand your limitations, you can work with them. Instead of having them work against you and get in your way, which is what they do when you ignore them, whether you realize it or not. And then you will find that in many cases your limitations can be your own strengths. For example, when Owl's house fell down, who was able to escape, even though there was a heavy branch across the door, and the only way out was through the letter slide? Piglet, the very small animal. I can't believe it's raining. I can't. I'm fumbling. It's raining. It's a hot mess today. I'm a little bit of a hot mess today, but that's okay. We're getting it done. So now, the last part of the principle. Why does a chicken? I don't know why. Why does a chicken do what it does? You don't know. Neither do we. Neither does anyone else. Science likes to strut around and act smart by putting its labels on everything. But if you look at them closely, you'll see that they do not really say much. Genes, DNA, just scratching the surface, instinct. You know what that means. Curious, why do birds fly south for the winter? Science. Instinct. It means we don't know. The important thing is we don't really need to know. We don't need to imitate nearsighted science, which peers at the world through an electron microscope, looking for answers it will never find, and coming up with more questions instead. We don't need to play abstract philosopher, asking unnecessary questions and coming up with meaningless answers. What we need to do is recognize and acknowledge inner nature and work with things just as they are. When we don't, we get into trouble. Pooh and Piglet found this out when they tried to catch a heffalump. Not really knowing what heffalumps like to eat, Piglet assumed that they would be attracted by acorns, and Pooh thought, but first, you remember what a heffalump is, don't you? One day, when Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh and Piglet were all talking together, Christopher Robin finished the mouthful he was eating and said carelessly, I saw a heffalump today, Piglet. What was it doing? Asked Piglet. Just jumping along, said Christopher Robin. I don't think it saw me. I saw one once, said Piglet. At least I think I did, he said. Only perhaps it wasn't. So did I, said Pooh, wondering what a heffalump was like. You don't often see them, said Christopher Robin carelessly. Not now, said Piglet. Not at this time of year, said Pooh. That's what a heffalump is. So Pooh and Piglet decided to capture one, and the plan started out very well. Pooh's first idea, trying to do two things at once, holding an umbrella and a book, and not get wet and drop the umbrella. This is a little too comical and annoying for all of you today. I know. I apologize. And here we go. All right, we got to fix this. I'm running out of time here, guys. I really am. Got a stone pie. Okay, so, where are we? So Pooh's first idea was that they dig a very deep pit, and then the heffalump would come along and fall into the pit. And, why, said Piglet. Why what, said Pooh. Why would he fall in? No, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Taraland. I just feel pause in the book for a second. Sometimes I try to make things so perfect for you guys, and I don't like getting it wrong because I want you to be able to, I guess, enjoy it so much and not look so clumsy, but I'm one of those people that sometimes I can walk across a balance beam and I do great, and other times, a lot of times, I trip over air, and I'm just in me, I'm like a little bit of beautiful chaos, if that makes sense. So, I get self-conscious a little bit because I am human too. But anyway, because I got to get to the doctors, let's get through this. So why, said Piglet. Why what, said Pooh. Why would he fall in? Pooh rubbed his nose with his paw and said that the heffalump might be walking along, humming a little song, and looking up at the sky, wondering if it would rain, so he wouldn't see the very big, deep pit until he was halfway down when it would be too late. Piglet said that this was a very good trap, but supposing it were raining already, as it is here right now, really hard, and I got to go lower with my umbrella because my back's getting wet. Pooh rubbed his nose again and said that he hadn't thought of that. And then he brightened up and said that if it were raining already, the heffalump would be looking at the sky, wondering if it would clear up, so he wouldn't see the very dark pit until he was halfway down, when it would be way too late. Piglet said that, now that this point had been explained, he thought it was a cunning trap. Pooh was very proud when he heard this, and he thought that the heffalump was as good as caught already. But there was just one other thing which had to be thought about, and it was this. Where should they dig this very deep pit? Piglet said that the best place would be somewhere where a heffalump was, just before he fell into it, but only but a foot farther. But then he would see us digging it, said Pooh. Not if he was looking up the sky, said Piglet. It sounds easy, doesn't it? Let's see. First you dig a hole, making sure that it's big enough for a heffalump. Totally makes sense, doesn't it? Turn in another page, guys. And then, the best way to make sure that the heffalump gets into the trap once you've made it is to put something that heffalumps like into it. A bag of peanuts. Or honey, said Pooh. Honey? A jar of honey, said Pooh. I got water going down my back. A jar of honey, said Pooh. Are you sure? A big jar of honey, Pooh insisted. Who ever heard of heffalumps liking honey? Sticky, gooey. How would they ever? The best thing, said Pooh. All right, honey. You put the honey in the trap, and before you know it, you have caught it. Something went wrong. That's not a heffalump. But what is it? Maybe Piglet will find out when he goes to see what's in the trap. Help! Help! Cried Piglet. A heffalump! A horrible heffalump! And he scampered off as hard as he could, still crying out, Help! Help! A horrible heffalump! Huff! Huff! A hellable horrolump! Ho! Ho! A hawful! A hawful hellerump! And he didn't stop crying and scampering until he got to Christopher Robin's house. Whatever's the matter, Piglet, said Christopher Robin, who was just getting up. Hef, said Piglet, breathing so hard that he could hardly speak. A heffalump. Where? Up there, said Piglet, waving his ball. What did it look like? Like it had the biggest head you ever saw, Christopher Robin. A great enormous thing, like nothing. A huge, big, well, like, I don't know, like an enormous big nothing. Like a jar. So the honey wasn't such a good thing to use after all. We didn't think it really matched the nature of heffalumps somehow. Now that we know the principle, we can... Oh, it's you, Pooh. Muffle wuffle cobblestone pie, muffle wuffle. I beg your pardon? Tell them about cobblestone pie. What it means, Pooh whispered, a little more clearly. I just did, I said. I mean, tell them what it stands for, said Pooh expectantly. Oh, of course. Thank you, Pooh. Pooh wants us to know that the words cobblestone pie are a very way of saying inner nature. So by substituting that term for the last line in each verse of the song, we get, ask me a riddle and I'll reply, inner nature. Cobblestone pie sounds better, said Pooh. Well, how about this, Pooh? Ask me a riddle and I'll reply. Things are as they are. Better, but it still doesn't rhyme. All right, how's this? Ask me a riddle and I'll reply. Cobblestone, cobblestone, cobblestone pie. Just right, said Pooh. Now that we know the principle, we can look at its applications. As we have likely recognized by now, no two snowflakes, trees, or animals are alike. No two people are the same either. Everything has its own inner nature. Unlike other forms of life, though, people are easily led away from what's right for them, because people have brain, and brain can be fooled. Inner nature, when relied on, cannot be fooled. But when many people do not look at it or listen to it, and consequently do not understand themselves very much, having a little understanding of themselves, they have little respect for themselves, and are therefore easily influenced by others. But rather than be carried along by circumstances and manipulated by those who can see the weaknesses and behavior tendencies that we ignore, we can work with our own characteristics and be in control of our own lives. The way of self-reliance starts with recognizing who we are, what we've got to work with, and what works best for us. How would you explain it, Pooh? With a song, he said. A little something I just made up. Go ahead. Certainly. How can you get very far if you don't know who you are? How can you do what you ought if you don't know what you've got? And if you don't know what to do, all of the things in front of you, then what you'll have when you are through is just a mess without a clue of all the best that can come true if you know what and which and who. That's it, he said, leaning back and closing his eyes. A masterpiece. Well, better than average, maybe. Sooner or later, we are bound to discover some things about ourselves that we don't like. But once we see they're there, we can decide what we want to do with them. Do we want to get rid of them completely, change things into other things, or use them in beneficial ways? The last two approaches are often especially useful, since they avoid head-on conflict and thereby minimize struggle. Also, they allow those transformed characteristics to be added to the list of things we have that help us out. In a similar manner, instead of struggling to erase what are referred to as negative emotions, we can learn to use them in positive ways. We could describe this principle like this. While pounding on the piano keys may produce noise, removing them doesn't exactly further the creation of music. The principles of music and living aren't all that different, we think. Wouldn't you say, Pooh? Say what? Asked Pooh, opening his eyes. Music And living? The same thing, said Pooh. That's what we thought. So then rather work ourselves, all we need to do in many cases is to point out our weaknesses, or unpleasant tendencies in a direction then we have become. I gotta check the time. I'm starting to rush, which I don't like to do when I'm reading, but I have to actually be able to go. Okay, so this is what's gonna happen right now. I hate to do this to you guys, but there's gonna be a part 2 because I should have been on the road 4 minutes ago and I'm not, and now I gotta go get changed because I'm wet. So cobblestone pie. Why did I wait? I don't know why. So I will come back later and I will finish because we only have like five more pages left. So I love you guys. Fierce, I gotta jet because I have to get to a doctor that's an hour away. I'll talk with you soon.